1, 2, 3. We're on.
Wonderful. Okay. Ruth Treese. John Hess.
Here.
Joyce Reese.
Yes.
Maureen DeBeguer.
Here.
Bobby Levin.
Here.
David Fournette.
Here.
Have I forgotten any of the committee members? Elsa Favreau.
Here.
David Bowie is here. Patricia Caputo.
No.
Dominic Garnagia.
No.
Stuart Richland.
Here.
Joanne Robinson.
I'm here.
Jerry Sutowski. Tony Burrows.
Here.
And we have 1, 2, 3 guests, Parton, Bashaki, and Anna. I don't want to butcher your last name, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Do we have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I make a motion.
Motion made by Joyce, seconded by John Hess. Are there any corrections to the minutes? I know everybody read them. No corrections? Okay, minutes will be accepted as presented. Thank you. All right. Miss Monica, you're up. Financials, quick.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. This afternoon, we're first looking at your statement of operations for the 3 months ended January 31st. For the month, we had $551,000 in revenue, $1,000 in expenses, so we have a loss for the month of $40,000. Year-to-date, we have total revenue of $1,684,000. We spent $1,771,000, so we have a loss of $86,000. We had actually budgeted a loss for those 3 months of $134,000, so we have a positive variance of $47,536. Any questions there? Okay. At the bottom is your social activity summary. Your income for your theater for the month of January was $52,644. For your theater, dances, and movies, we spent $65,096, so we have a loss of $12,452. For the 3 months, your income for your theater and dances is a total of $95,467,000. We spent $113,979, so we have a loss of $18,512. We had actually budgeted for that period a loss of $32,023. So again, we have a positive variance here of $13,511. The next report is your cash balances. This is also through the end of January. Our total operating funds are $528,000. Our windstorm deductible reserves are at $1,075,000, and our contingency and infrastructure improvement reserves at $420,000. So our total reserve funds are $1,495,000, and our total available cash $2,024,000. Questions? The next report is your social activities, and this is for the month of February. There were 4,839 tickets sold for your theater performances in February. We collected $66,815. After we reduce our audience view cost and our sales tax, our net sales are $59,290. We paid the performers $67,000, so we have a loss for the month of $7,709. We also have our Friday night dances where 874 people attended your dances, including your Sweethearts Ball, where our ticket sales for the Sweethearts Ball was $3,512. Our net sales were $3,060, and we paid the DJ $375. So we had a net profit on your Sweethearts Ball of $2,685. Total spent on your Friday night dances, $1,445. Your movies, there were 4 movies for the month, 766 people attended your movies. We spent $1,284 for the movies, so our net profit between your theater, dances, and movies, or excuse me, our net loss for the month, $6,624. Questions? Oh, okay. The next report is your revenue collected from guests. This is also through the end of February. Our box office sales to residents have been $93,459. Box office sales to guests, $48,186. So total sold $141,645. Resident tickets sold, as far as the numbers go, is 7,445 tickets versus guest tickets sold 3,079. So total tickets sold 10,524. Again, that's about roughly 30%, as David pointed out last month. It's pretty steady there. So that means that your guest fees included in your theater ticket sales amounts to $9,237 for the 4 months. Guest passes sold in the ID office, $14,470. Guest passes sold in the staff office, $5,359. So total revenue generated by guest amounts to $29,066. Next report is your Estoppel results. This is also through the end of February. Year to date, there's been 106 units sold in this community as compared to the same period in the prior year where there were 165 units sold. So it's a decrease of 59 units or 36%. We've collected $22,700 in revenue this year. In the prior year, we collected for the same period $35,570. So it's a decrease of just shy of $13,000, a 36% decrease. Yeah, big decrease in February where we only had 32 units sold this year, and the prior year we had 50 units in the 1 month. Any questions? Okay, the last thing I wanted to update you guys on today is, we're about 8 months through our current insurance policy that had an effective date of last August 1st, and if you recall, we unfortunately have a self-insured retention of $100,000 per claim this year for our general liability policy. So since we're 8 months into the policy, I wanted to give you just a quick update of where we are overall. Every single incident that we have in our communities is reported to what is called our third-party processor, who collects all the incident reports and makes a decision ultimately with us which one of those incidents will be forwarded to the actual carrier. So far there have been no incidents in any of the 3 villages reported to the carrier. But having said that, since August 1st through the end of February, there have been 40 incidences reported to the third-party administrator. 17 of those 40 were in this community. So 42% of the incidences have occurred in this community. As of today, only 2 of those 17 incidences are represented by an attorney, which means it may ultimately turn into a claim, which the third-party administrator will obviously try to settle and avoid having to actually send it to the carrier for them to address the claim, which that would once they have to send a claim to the carrier, that's what invokes the self-insured retention. So the whole plan is for the third-party administrator to be able to litigate this situation and resolve it before it gets reported as an actual claim to the carrier. So what that means is this year I budgeted $100,000 in your insurance cost, and year to date we've spent $0. The only thing that has been spent, and it's not been spent out of your money yet, we had to pay, Centerville Recreation paid the third-party administrator a annual fee up front for the policy period for them to administer and adjust all these incidences. And that fee that we paid up front for all three villages was $11,850. So that fee will be split up at the end of the policy year based on the number of incidences that they've handled. So unless we have a ugly claim that rears itself, so far we're doing very, very good this year. Any questions?
I wanted to add, one of these two claims we have camera footage on. The other one is an unknown. We can't, we have no report, we have no footage, we don't know where she fell. The letter from the attorney is very unclear. She's not a resident. She lives close by, but she's not a resident, so chances are she was a guest. We have no idea if she fell on wrecked property, correct? Not yet. We don't, so.
And that's the only way we know about it is because we have an attorney's letter.
Yes?
We do not have an incident report.
No. We have no idea. We cannot, they didn't, and they don't tell us where this took place. So we're hoping that it was off property somewhere else. And so that'll put us down to one. And the one that we have very clear footage, and that footage shows that he was not paying attention to where he was walking at all and went down. I'm hoping that with some of the changes that we saw go into effect last year, the fact that he wasn't looking, was busy looking to see who he knew over at Bocce. So he wasn't looking and he tripped over a bumper. So we're hoping that's also gonna go away.
We're hoping.
Would be nice.
All right, so that's it for me, unless there's any questions. Thank you.
We're gonna go a little bit off schedule right now. We're gonna go on to the new business. Everybody was handed a piece of paper. Please read it. And we'll give you 2 minutes, and then we'll have, let Donald give you an update. How's that?
Thanks, sure. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm gonna read.
Yeah, I'll read.
All right, Donald, go for it.
All right, guys. Hang on, sorry.
Turn the switch on.
Could have turned that on while you guys were reading, but I didn't think of it. All right, so what you're looking at is a proposed rule change for use of facilities here, mostly the clubhouse, I'd say. What brought this to the fore is that UCO has become aware of certain activities here and in the meeting rooms that were deemed to be adverse to the interests of the associations who are UCO's clients, the contracts that exist between UCO and each of the associations, and the community itself. This was brought to the attention of our attorney, who agreed and proposed a rule. And this was some back and forth between WPRF and attorney and UCO's attorney. And what you see ahead in front of you is the final version. So what's happening here is, we want to make sure that our neighbors are protected against advice being given without having adequate licensure, for instance, condominium administration advice, advice to use services other than the ones provided by UCO with the contract in the bilateral agreement. That's pretty much covers it. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and I see Attorney Coffey is here as well, so I'm sure we can, between us all, we can answer any questions that you have. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's Abby's assistant.
Oh, it's
Michelle.
Abby's- Sorry,
You've just been promoted.
I've got my reading glasses on, you're all a blur right now.
I just have to go to the bathroom
I'm going
first, and then I'll come back. I can't
Yeah.
start without the.
Fair enough. Anyway, we're happy to answer any questions that you have. Go ahead, Bryce.
Is it any specific group that you're?
No, this is not directed at any specific group. There's been at least two that has come to our attention. This is also more of a consumer protection thing. We want to make sure that nothing's happening here in the clubhouse that's detrimental even to individual unit owners. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, David.
What is WPRF's position on this proposed rule?
Well, it's something that we were not going to do, and this is why we had to sit down with Yuko and the attorneys. So I'm perfectly fine. I understand the need for this, so I'm perfectly fine with it. I think it was necessary, but this allows us to do something with this now. So we can identify it. We can identify it, and we can put a stop to it.
And most importantly, this is a cooperative effort between WPRF and UCO, which is really the reason for this committee, right?
Currently, we have a certain set of guidelines, and both WPRF and UCO feels that they have not been followed, and we need to narrow it down so that they are followed, and if they're not followed, there can be consequences. Easily put. Yes, David?
Well, you know, I think that's a real good comment, is that, you know, this is addressing the group itself rather than the content of what they're doing. If the group decides to follow your guidance, then are they going to be able to, you know, continue?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it was also continued in the discussion that if the group wishes to continue in another place besides, then they can do whatever they want, right? This is America. But yes, this is just about the content, not about the group.
Any other questions? Could I have a motion and a second, please? John Hess made the motion, seconded by Maureen Debeguer. Are there any more questions on it? Any other discussion that you need? Any other clarifications? David, could you, yes, ma'am?
Where will the amendment, in what document will the amendment be included?
Good question.
Very good.
I would think,
In the
Well-
current guidelines that we
Yes.
have.
Yeah. there's-
They'll be publicized?
WPRF has like a version of like UCO's post orders to security, the usage rules of the facility. This would be added to it.
I think so.
I just don't want us to pass this and have it just.
It won't disappear.
It will not disappear.
And Bobby, there's been extensive discussion on implementation after the fact. So I think this is pretty well worked out.
Yes, David?
It's a good question, Donald. Who is going to
Implement.
Joint venture.
implement this proposed rule change?
Well, this is a good question, David, and if you remember from the discussion, this is going to be a joint effort of WPRF, who is responsible for what goes on in this building, and UCO. It will be UCO who, if there is an issue, it'll be UCO, under the agreement, it will be UCO's job to bring the issue to WPRF's attention, and then WPRF's to first
Substantiated.
substantiate it. Is it true? Is it right? And then from there,
deny them the use, well, warn them that they have to change their
Concept.
content,
Right.
or they will be not denied the usage of a room within the clubhouse. They can meet somewhere else, but they will not be able to get a room here.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Any other questions? All right. David, could you do a, yes?
I have one question. What about other rec properties such as pools?
This would cover all
All rec
recreational
property.
facilities,
Yeah.
yes.
That's what I figured. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Whenever you're ready, David, if you want to do a roll call.
Do that. Motion by John Hess, seconded by Maureen Deviger, to accept the proposed rule as written and agreed to by both UCO and WPRF. Bobby Levin,
Yes.
John Hess,
Yes.
John Gregg, David Forness,
Yes.
Ruth Dries,
Yes.
Joyce Reese,
Yes.
Maureen Deviger.
Yes.
Gotta turn the page for you, Joyce. You're on the other page. Don't ask me why you are.
I guess I'm important.
That could be. Joanne Robinson,
Yes.
Jerry Sutowski, Stuart Richland,
Yes.
Dominic Garnagia, Patricia Caputo, David Boas, yes. Fausto Fabro,
Yes.
motion carries.
Did you leave out Tony?
And if you watch Are You Being Served?
You forgot Tony.
You forgot Tony.
Tony Burrows, I did because I didn't write you down. Tony,
Yes.
It's going to take a few minutes,
and if
meetings to
Mr.
work
I know,
Wilson
I
would
know.
say, Are You Being Served? I am unanimous in this.
And next month, you get to do this job.
Yeah.
Did you retire?
Yeah.
I've been retired for a long time. I was even tireder before I retired.
Thank you. Keep on going. Dan, ID office.
Okay. Good afternoon. Yes, the ID office has been completed. Okay. Is that back and open it up? Eva, right, everything
Yes.
running properly?
They are up and running.
Okay, Southampton Pool, still,
Dan. Can we get a final cost of that entire project?
I'll have, we'll get that to you, okay? So,
Thank you.
I don't think it changed from the number that was, I don't think, we just didn't have one number, I think it was. Definitely get that to you.
Thank you.
Southampton, we, this pool, it's been going on with all kinds of problems for a long time. We just passed some of the inspections now, so now it's all the roughness inspections, we just now, the beautification of it, putting all the tile and stuff together. But we did have a problem with the plumbing. And if you remember about 10 years ago, when we first started this, we had a backflow that was coming from the plaza across from there.
Yes.
When we dug this all up, because of the new bathroom, ED bathroom that we installed, we ran a line and tied into this particular line that was considered, and nobody knew about this, including the county at this point right now, that never knew that the plaza, how it connected, you know? But we were having soap suds and everything coming up after we put these, the new bathrooms inside there. And then, of course, then the sewer smell, but the soap suds were coming from the laundry facility that they have, or some kind of a dishwasher they have in that particular plaza. When we dug it all up, we brought the county in. And what they resolved the last time was a check valve, and that's how it stopped it coming in. So we are putting another check valve, okay? But this one will remove the other one, just be one check valve. It's a pressurized line. They have a lift station that nobody knew about. It was a private lift station that's over there in the plaza. And every 30 minutes, it basically pumps, and it goes through that pressurized lines to a 4-inch, then goes into a 6-inch where we tie in our 4-inch line to. But when it gets to the manhole in front of the association there, it reduces back down to 4 inch because the manhole is not sufficient enough to carry that amount of volume of water. So the pressure in there really pressurizes it and it backs up towards us. So that's where the check valves are going in. How they did this 30, 40, 50 years ago, we don't know, but normally you don't tie into pressure lines. But the county basically helped us out researching all that, plus they found a leak that was happening in their water main out there. So the check valve was the easiest resolution to get this thing prepared, so we're putting another check valve. But of course, it's gonna be on our cost to do that. The county does not, it's our line. Not much of a major cost, but it's still a cost. But it's resolved. We know now where that line is, how it comes to us, so if we have any more problems, okay, especially your building, at the front of that building, because that manhole is the end of a lateral that the county is actually responsible for.
In front of Southampton Seats.
Yes, that manhole, even though there's another lateral coming down from the other point of that building, that line is the responsibility of the association. They're only responsible for that manhole lateral all the way back to the lift station, from their point on. But it was, at least everybody knows where everything's at, so we're documenting on all the plans so that everybody in the future would know, okay? But that, at least the poop problem is resolved. Okay, new business.
New business, yep.
New business, okay, so,
Do we have
That's for me, I ain't here.
a guesstimate of when the pool is going to be open?
at this point, I can't give a guesstimate because I do have one more inspection, but I will get that to you sometime by next week, okay? I'll let you know how the,
So we're not expecting it in the next 60 days?
oh, we could, definitely could be.
Conceivably, yes.
Conceivably, yes, definitely,
Conceivably, yes.
okay? Because right now, it's just the putting it all together now, so all the roughings are
Thank you.
completed. I just have one piece of documentation that I have to get to the county, That should be in by next
Thank
week.
you.
Bless you. The next one is increased parking. I wanted to bring this up because I told Eva that we spent so much money on this over the years, okay, with renderings, okay, and was never went anywhere. I just want to bring it up again because the grass area that's over there by the shuffleboard courts, okay, we had plans for that to put approximately 50 parking spaces over there. Now, of course, if we decided to go doing any kind of remodeling of the existing parking lot, there is a possibility that you might lose some spots because of the new code requirements that they require. But I think because we lost parking spaces across,
The medical building now doesn't keep their lights on at night, so people can't park there on the night of a show. We've lost that.
and it's always been an issue. And I'm telling you, I can't remember the dollar sign of how much we spent on these drawings, engineering drawings, but it's in the thousands, okay? And I know I have a drawing of this particular one, of the grass area, and I think it's something to just go and see what we can do for a number for this, okay, to bring it up for budget, okay? So when you finish those 50, at least if you decide to move forward with doing anything at the clubhouse, okay, it'll make up the difference of the lost spaces that you might, you might still gain a few more, but then the whole parking lot will then be what I call ADA compliant, but you have if you engineer it properly, you're able to get more spaces out of that, okay? And I'd like to also see what the cost would be for that, because the parking spaces you have inside there, it's basically a 2-lane road. And if it's configured properly, you could probably do something a little bit more to add spaces in your existing parking spot, okay? So, but again, everything's a cost to this, and I know every time we said this, it's been dropped. We had all these things even going into the lake. We had all these things going on years ago. Go ahead.
Eva, if we were to ask the owners of the medical building to put their lights on for a little longer, what would you suggest as a cutoff time? 11? Okay.
11. I mean, the show, it's
Doesn't hurt to
basically,
ask.
nobody parks there but for the show. overflow parking, so that's over by 9:30, 10:30.
So
I would
it
say
would only need to be Saturday night.
only.
Okay.
Well, that's through the summer months. In season, some Tuesdays
Okay.
and Saturdays,
And some
and,
Thursdays.
and some Thursdays.
Oh, jeez.
We'd have to give them a schedule,
It's only
yes.
it's only 3 months of Tuesdays and Thursdays.
All right, let me,
But it's Saturday.
doesn't hurt to ask, right?
No, it doesn't hurt to
Okay.
ask.
So,
I think, may I, by 10 o'clock, by the time I'm leaving here, which is almost the last usher to leave,
Right.
by 9:45, the latest, there's like hardly any cars left, just the buses and a few straggly cars, so people like are out of here quick, just so you know,
Right.
they're so nice.
We might even say 10:30, that's, but yeah.
10:05.
I mean, I've noticed that some people do park at the very edge where there is a light, but it's black over there. They're not leaving any lights on anywhere, and then there's that sidewalk on the side too, which I worry about people walking there, there's no lighting.
so
Can I ask something about parking in general? The shows have not been, nothing has been sold out. Has there been a problem with parking?
Well, if you get 500 people that are coming to the shows, I've only got 336 spaces.
No, because I haven't heard any complaints.
Well,
Okay, just
yes,
curious.
but I think that our inviting Golden Lakes and Cypress Lakes is going to be very
You're
successful.
right, I forgot about that.
Yes, I do. We've already dropped off a second 50 over to Golden Lakes. The first 50 got picked up immediately. And I think, Monica, didn't you have some numbers as to how many people bought tickets from Cypress or Golden?
I have them.
Okay, so they're going to give you that number, and I think as word gets around, this is going to grow and it's going to be very successful.
Okay,
We need to be able to provide parking.
right.
and that's the other thing is, even though we didn't have the sellout, we were having people park in illegal areas, okay? We have fire zones, they're parking everywhere. And I'm bringing this to your attention, I brought it to our attorneys advised me, and I'm the safety thing. Next year's shows, we will have the tow company tow these cars, because that's the only way we're gonna get these people out of it. So we're gonna announce it, we're gonna be announcing it over the, when they have the movies or the shows, prior to next year's shows and all, but we cannot have the park blocking any kind of emergency entrance, okay? Or around the building where it says no parking, fire zones.
One more. The sign that says full-in parking only,
Yeah.
that's a very small sign. I don't think a lot of people even notice it. I see some people backing into spots, but I don't think they're doing it purposely. They may not know. There's only one sign that I've ever seen.
Yes, as you're coming over the bridge, it's really front-end parking only.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
We took out the bumpers and that created a whole nother problem. We have an issue at the main entrance of the clubhouse. That whole section where people pull up, that should all be handicapped accessible, and we've got a curb there. Where our handicapped accessibility is, it's like this wide,
Right.
and it's right there where the buses come around. So change is coming for that parking lot. We may, in having to, pull permits with the county, lose spaces, so as Dan said, this would give us spaces that we might wind up losing, but it's necessary.
Okay.
It really is, it's just horrible upfront.
The more that I do to overlay something, is the liability grows more. Because if something happens and we do a repair, okay, without a permit in the parking lot, okay, the liability increases. Okay, so I think it's been time, everybody knows about it. It's just that we have to make a decision instead of spending thousands of dollars and looking at drawings and saying no to it, But we've had this problem for many, many years, sort of like the Southampton thing. And sooner or later, do we say that we're gonna, put some money away for a couple of years, and let's do it, but we really need to think about it. If you're going to make the theater also grow, you're going to have to need some parking spaces that everybody's gonna be able to accommodate the shows.
And then the blacktop out there, it's close to crumbling. So we have to do something major here, and it's gonna have a big dollar attached to it, a big ticket amount.
The ADA spaces right now.
Dan, 1 second, please. Fausto
I have to leave. I'm turning the meeting over to Joanne. She'll end up here. I have to go pick up somebody at the train station.
Okay,
Thank you for everybody's time.
Thanks, Fausto.
so those are the things, I don't wanna, talk too much about the parking spaces because people then so many liabilities in those areas that we need to really concentrate on getting this done in the future, you know? And it should be planned out, you know, because the cost is heavy. But the first area I think we definitely have to hit is because you're building a new parking spot, which could accommodate 50 spaces, you're not gonna have to worry about anything about the old parking lot yet, you know? As soon as you touch that parking lot, then you have to upgrade it, you know? And if you don't, if you decide to do it without these permits, if anything happens inside there, the liability is heavy, you know?
I just heard from the managing partner of the medical building. He's reporting that the lights are off because there's an underground power cable that's corroded, and they're broke. That's why they're off. So as soon as they get an electrician on it and fix it, you're gonna have lights, and they're gonna be on all night.
Great,
All right?
awesome. Good news, thank you, Donald. That's good news.
Okay, so I thought I'll be bringing up for budget, you know, just to take a look at that parking lot for the 50. We'll have the drawings, everything's already been done years ago, okay? So we could re-look into this and do some kind of a projected time period, you know, of saving money for it, you know? Thank you.
And that's that. Now we can go on to the theater
I have
season.
a question on it. As long as you're planning on spending some money on a parking spot, you're only looking at 50 spaces. You're inviting Golden Lakes and Cypress Lakes to come over, and you're trying to increase the residents here attending shows. If nobody's got a place to park now, how do you got 50 spots ain't gonna make up the difference when you're getting people come from other places too. So you're gonna, to me, if you can't add 100 more places, you kind of.
Well, that's the whole idea. I'm only saying that particular drawing shows 50-some spaces. The other drawing that I will have available to you is redesigning the parking spaces on the existing, okay? There's a lot of space that is wasted out there, okay, and how we, so you need somebody to redesign it, okay? And what I'm just saying, it could lose 10 or 12 or 15, I don't know with the new code, but the 50 will give us, and what we additionally will get, okay, is more. We're not touching the spaces, the 300 that you already have, so you're gonna have 350 something more. And then whatever we could accommodate more, I'm gonna say, even though we're gonna lose, okay, we're gonna make more spaces on that existing. If you can understand, I'm gonna have it all engineered and show you how many spaces we could get, and then that decision and that question will be.
That's what I say, how many, when it all ends up, how many additional spaces you're gonna have, and what's the cost gonna be? Is it gonna be $1,000 for each spot you're gonna attain, or is it gonna cost you $10,000 for every spot that you get?
That's the whole, I have to get the engineering and the okay, and
we start
put it into the budget,
Start
I'll show
talking
you.
that kind of money. Hell, if you're gonna spend money, spend a lot of money and
Yeah.
build a parking garage on the other end, down by the bocce court.
We went through this, and it isn't like we didn't go through this, you know, parking, second thing, realistically, we keep on saying, everything that you talk about is all big money, no matter what, and especially when you do a parking garage, okay? You're doubling what we're gonna do right here, you know, if not tripling it, okay? But let's just get the engine, one more of the parking spaces in front, okay? And then that 50, okay? Because I would like to just have the ADA compliant, so that if we have any problems, that's where it's gonna be. The lawsuit's gonna happen there. The amount of traffic you have, the buses that are sitting right in front of those ADA spots, again, luckily, I'm not on my head, we haven't had any incidents. But if it does, okay, we're in a lot of big, heavy money here, you know?
Come close a couple of times, those buses are starting to go. and
It
you
gets
know,
dark.
Cars, you know.
People go around the buses, I go slowly. Luckily, they hit nice and close together, nobody could walk through the buses, but.
Well, I've asked them to pull up as close as they can. They don't always do that, and people are not thinking when they cut in between the buses, because you're blind. You don't see them until they actually step out in front of you, but removing those bumpers, we created a whole new problem in that parking lot. They're just driving every which way. So this would also include putting in, I'm not even gonna say a landscaping bed, we could put pavers on the top possibly.
Well,
But something,
it's all gonna be engineered, so in the way of, because it's the grass areas that they're looking at more, we have just so much asphalt. The way the runoff goes to the lakes is illegal. Everything that we have out there, code was okay back then, it's not today.
it's not today.
So, and again, it's something to look into and at least plan it out and we're going some direction, you know? Instead of just dropping it to the side, as we did for the last 3 times that I think I have plans made for this thing, you know? But it's important for the future, not for us right now, but for 3-4 years down the road, if it takes 3 years to do it, 3 years to do it, you know? But at least it's planned out and you move forward with that. You know, I'm not saying next year's budget, we're gonna, other than put money to the side, depending on the cost and how many spaces we can get out of that area. If it's gonna be even worth it, you know? Okay?
All right, so we've given you food for thought. And then Abby,
Normally, we don't, this is up to you, normally we don't have guests if we turn the cameras off. All your decision.
Right, you always.
Use the microphone, please.
Can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't be
No
sorry.
guests usually.
It's
No
just
guests,
fun.
no camera.
Hello? Normally, we do not have guests and we normally do not have cameras. I'm just bringing that to your attention. So you all, it's your decision.
Does anyone object to
I'm not saying anything.
the guest portion?
I
have no.
That's necessary.
So we have to ask you, but are we going to be talking about money also? I don't think it's a subject that isn't shared with.
there was a time, I think, where we gave you individual prices, now we give you a lump sum. Is that right, Abby? It's just gonna be a lump sum amount for the season.
Well, even so, I don't,